Good morning, coal fighters. Is it time to move beyond coal? Are you ready for clean energy? All right, for those of you who I haven't met yet, or if you're watching online, my name is Michael Brune. I'm the Executive Director of the Sierra Club, and it is my honor to be here with all of you today. Before we get started, I just wanted to say that thank you. Thank you. This is as much for all of you as anything else. No offense, but we really wanted to say thank you to all the Sierra Club volunteers and staff and supporters who have given countless hours and blood and sweat and tears to make sure that we're moving our entire country beyond coal. So thank you. Thank you so much for your determination, your tenacity, your creativity, your persistence, and for the historic things, the amazing things that we have accomplished together. You should know that because of you, we have retired 187 coal-fired power plants. It is because of you that we have knit together a movement of Americans for clean air, clean water, clean energy that is ringing from coast to coast. And it is because of you that we are on track to hit our goal, our ambitious goal, what some said was an impossible goal, to retire a third of our coal plants by 2020. So make no mistake, a clean energy economy is inevitable. A clean energy economy is inevitable. Dirty, outdated, deadly coal is a thing of the past. So it was almost 4 years ago, on a hot and humid, sweltering July day where we were on a boat in front of the Alexandria coal plant where we began our partnership with Bloomberg Philanthropies. This was a partnership that helped to take the Sierra Club's Beyond Coal campaign, which started with just 3 people in 2002, and helped to make it the juggernaut, the powerhouse that it is today. So we are excited to be here again with Bloomberg Philanthropies to announce the next set of goals for the Beyond Coal campaign, to raise the level of ambition in the Beyond Coal campaign. And I would like to now introduce the man whose energy, whose passion, whose vision has made this possible. He's a man who has gone small on soda, but big on clean energy, Michael R. Bloomberg.
Michael, thank you. Michael, thank you. When you were talking about that, I was thinking about when we were on that barge across from the Alexander power plant, and what kept striking me was I can't understand how Congress and the federal government, executive branch, legislative branch, whatever, can't focus on this to try to extend people's lives and save lives. But to sit there in Congress and have a coal-fired power plant upwind from them, you would have thought at least they would take care of themselves. Anyways, good morning, everyone. I think it's fair to say that the Beyond Coal effort has been one of the most successful grassroots environmental efforts in this country's history. In fact, it is one of the most successful grassroots efforts in the country on a lot of public health issues, and there are others that are coming along, like smoking and fighting the battle against trans fats and full sugar drinks. All of those battles, we are making progress. Guns, the same thing. We're going in the right direction, but this is the model. It's easy to measure. You can see the results, and you can see what's happened to our air. When Bloomberg Philanthropies joined forces with the Sierra Club back in 2011, as Michael said, we set a goal to reduce the nation's coal-fired capacity by a third by the year 2020. and we are, as he pointed out, on track to exceed that goal. And since we started, 187 coal-fired power plants have been retired or repurposed for cleaner fuels, which is okay. We need energy. Nobody disputes that. The question is, do we have to kill ourselves while we're getting it? And I don't think we have to do it, nor do you. As a result, the number of homes and businesses powered by cleaner energy is increasing all across the country, and that has had incredible benefits for public health and also for the fight against climate change. I can give you an example of how the public really participates, not just through this organization, but in their daily lives. I got made fun of on the front page of the New York papers when I was on the roof of a 5-story building in Brooklyn, painting the roof white with Al Gore. Al was the guy that invented the internet, if you remember that. Always gets a laugh. And today, if you fly over New York, Brooklyn and Queens have lots of flat-roofed 5-story buildings. It's got to be 85 to 90% are painted white today. It may be fun in the newspapers, but people read and they say, wait a second, I can reduce my energy bill by 25% with a couple of cans of paint? Why would I not do that? And then you see a handful of buildings that are not painted white, and you wonder, what on earth are they thinking about? Same thing as you go over into New Jersey. We have lots of big flat-roofed warehouse buildings and factories. Almost all are covered with solar panels these days. It's not the federal government or even the state governments. It's the local governments that help with the coal-fired power plants and the actions of people themselves. In New York City, what we did, the 5,000 buildings created 80% of the greenhouse gases in New York City. Most cities, it's 80% transportation, 20% buildings. In New York, because we live so densely, take mass transit and walk, it's exactly the reverse. And 5,000 buildings caused 80% of the pollutants. What we did is we got a couple of banks to give loans to landlords to convert their buildings from using heavy number 6 fuel oil to natural gas. They did it. They paid back the loans within 2 years. They're all benefiting from breathing cleaner air. Their tenants are benefiting from breathing clean air, and they're making more money on their buildings. And it just goes to show what you can do when greenhouse gases in New York City have gone down by something like 19% over the last few years. The battle, however, continues, and we've got to make sure that we keep doing it. But there are incredible benefits for public health and also for the fight against climate change. When we started working with the Sierra Club, more than 13,000 Americans were dying each year from coal pollution. 13,000 Americans every single year died from the effects of using coal. Tens of thousands or more suffered from asthma and heart attacks and other serious health problems. Because we've reduced the amount of coal burned in America, the number of annual coal deaths have fallen by nearly a half. Think about this. Because of less coal pollution, almost 6,000 fewer Americans will die prematurely this year. Americans will suffer something like 7,500 fewer heart attacks and 80,000 fewer asthma attacks. And that's really an incredible achievement. And the thousands of people who have worked so hard to bring this about really have a lot to be proud of. The unfortunate thing is we don't know the names of those people who would have died from a heart attack or died from cancer. If you could, it would resonate an awful lot more with the public. But the statistics are clear. Because of the actions of this organization, and Bloomberg Philanthropies is proud to be able to support it and do our part, there's an awful lot fewer Americans that are dying, and those that don't die live better, healthier lives. And by empowering communities to clean the air they breathe, we have helped the United States, believe it or not, to become a global leader in carbon reduction. Yeah. Now, just think about all of the help that Washington has given us. Wait a second, I don't remember the last story. I'll get it. I'll have to go way back. But this is done by grassroots in the local governments and by the American public that wants to have cleaner air and cleaner water and have a better future for themselves and for their children. The biggest single contributor to the reduction in U.S. greenhouse gases has been the closing of coal-fired power plants. And just think about this. That's the reason why the U.S. has reduced its carbon footprint more than any other large country in the world over the last 9 years. America is leading the way, not because of Washington, but because of you, people in yellow shirts and people that just want to make a difference. And by any standard, it's a spectacular success, and it's having another important global benefit. It is helping to show other countries that it's possible to grow the economy while reducing carbon pollution. And that's sending the message that one of the best things we can do to improve the chances for a strong climate change agreement in Paris this December is to show that this makes a difference. And let me just point out to you, China, Beijing, just put a smoking ban in starting June 1, and Beijing just announced they're closing all coal-fired power plants. And they're doing that because the people of China have said to their government, we don't want to breathe air we can see or drink water that has a color to it. We don't want to have congestion where we can't get to work. We want the things that we all, for our children, that we'd like for ourselves as well. Today, Bloomberg Philanthropies is making, I'm happy to announce, a new investment of $30 million in the Beyond Coal campaign. And, wait, we have more. I'm glad to say that more than a dozen additional funders have committed to match that $30 million. We've seen how effective our partnership has been, and together we're raising the bar, and now we have a new goal. And the new goal is not a third of the power plants by 2020. It is half of the nation's coal fleet by 2017. More coal plants, fewer years, and that will help move America to cleaner energy sources faster and help millions of lives live longer, be longer, and healthier. Bloomberg Philanthropies is excited to be in the next stage of this work, and by helping people to stand up for their rights and protect their families and their communities, we're going to have a lot of satisfaction, and you're going to do the work. People don't want to breathe bad air or drink bad water, and Beyond Coal is taking our country in the right direction. It's the direction that will help our economy, not hurt it, because the price of pollution and environmental damage is suffered in our economy as well as in our lives. Smart energy companies recognize this, and more elected officials do too. Your job is to make sure the elected officials understand this. They are very responsive to the public. When they hear the public say, I'm going to vote depending on how you vote, all of a sudden their eyes open and they start focusing. That's what gets them to do it. And you've got to go and say, I'm going to rally people to help your opponent unless you do what is right for my family. And you put it in that context, you'll be shocked at just how accommodative they are and sympathetic they are. Bloomberg Philanthropies is helping to do it. We're providing legal and technical assistance to comply with the new federal regulations, and we keep adding clean energy jobs. Last year, even as the coal industry shrank, and it shrank partially because fewer coal-fired power plants here exist, but also because they've automated a lot of the coal industry. So saying that we're destroying jobs in the coal mining industry is not quite as bad, not quite as true as people would want you to believe. But we are adding jobs in other industries, and we are saving lives, and I think that's what's really important. America added 30,000 new jobs last year in solar power at a pace that is growing nearly 20 times the national average, the international average, and added thousands more jobs in natural gas and wind power. So instead of protecting an industry that will continue shrinking because of technology and because of less demand, elected officials should be making investments that will help people find jobs and build careers in industries that will continue growing. I don't think it's an exaggeration to say, and we get few chances to really look at an organization that has made a measurable big difference in a short period of time, but that's exactly what you see here. Coal's days are numbered. It is an outdated technology. It is holding back our economy. It's not hurting our economy. It's holding back our economy, and it's hurting our health. And reducing coal is not going to hurt the economy. It will make it grow, and it will give our children a better future. And that's why more people are speaking up of all ages. And needless to say, I want to introduce one of those people. She is a bright young woman from Thomas Jefferson High School for Science and Technology in Alexandria, Virginia, AIMEE KAPADIA. And she's seen the health impacts of coal firsthand. She's doing what she can to move this country beyond coal. Her parents are beaming right here, sitting right here, and filming this. I have promised her that she's a sophomore in high school, but when she gets to be a senior, I will write a letter of recommendation for her to any school. AIMEE, all yours.
Thank you. Good morning. My name is AIMEE KAPADIA, and I'm a sophomore at Thomas Jefferson High School for Science and Technology in Alexandria, Virginia. It's really exciting to be here today at the Sierra Club with Mr. Mike Brune, Miss Marianne HITT, and Mr. Michael Bloomberg. I'm here today because not only have I personally experienced the health detriments that come with air pollution, but I've also felt the positive results of shutting down a coal-fired power plant. When I was younger, I developed atopic dermatitis and started getting severe reactions to dust and smog. However, now it is starting to cause more respiratory problems with symptoms similar to asthma. A couple years ago, I was traveling to New Jersey to visit my grandparents. It started out like any other car trip, long and boring. But when we passed by a coal plant, my breath became constricted and I started wheezing. This event opened my eyes to the realities of the air pollution coal plants cause. I could no longer travel without a face mask, and I was at the point where further exposure would lead to asthma. I also live near Alexandria, Virginia, home to a coal plant that has recently been retired thanks to the efforts of many people here today, including Mayor Bloomberg and the Sierra Club's Beyond Coal campaign. Since then, the air quality in my community has significantly improved, and I can now go outside for a longer period of time without triggering skin rashes or wheezing. Our generation deserves to grow up in a world where worries about air pollution don't bother us, where we can go outside and enjoy nature in its clean and unharmed state. Walt Disney once said, "If you can dream it, you can do it." We definitely have been dreaming of a clean and renewable future for a very long time, and we are finally on our way into making this a reality. Thank you.
AIMEE, after watching your presentation, I don't know why you want to spend 2 more years in high school. You should go straight to college, and if you're looking for a good school, we're not that far away from Johns Hopkins, or just my alma mater. We'd love to talk to you. Anyways, thank you for everything. We're also joined by Marianne HITT. She is the director of the Beyond Coal campaign. Marianne?
Well, I am here today for reasons much like AIMEE and many of you in the room. I live in West Virginia, and I've spent most of my life in Appalachia. My daughter is an 11th generation West Virginian through my husband's side of the family. And when I started working over a decade ago to move this country beyond coal, I didn't actually realize at the time that that's what I was doing. I had grown up in some of the most beautiful mountains on the planet, the Great Smoky Mountains National Park, and I was trying to stop some of the other most beautiful and oldest and most biodiverse mountains on the planet, the Appalachian Mountains, from being blown up and wiped off the map by coal. When I was born, all of the mountains in Appalachia were still standing. And in just my lifetime, the coal industry has blown up, flattened, and wiped off the map over 500 mountains across Appalachia. Mountains that have been there for millions of years. Mountains that should have been my daughter's birthright. They are gone forever. And I can do a lot of things for my daughter. I do, trust me, a lot of things. Hi, Hazel, if you're watching. But I can never put those mountains back together. And over the past decade of working with the Beyond Coal campaign, I have come to understand that millions of Americans are working with us to defend this planet and their families from these same kinds of permanent, irrevocable losses. As you have heard so poignantly here today, it's fearing for the safety of your child who's suffering from asthma. It's also the mom who finds out her drinking water has been contaminated with mercury and lead and arsenic from coal ash, and who is suddenly tied up in knots of regret over every pitcher of lemonade or iced tea that she served her family. And it is every single one of us. Because we all understand now that as ice sheets fall apart, as water tables run dry, as deadly storms hit our cities, that taking a wrecking ball to our climate is like blowing up a mountain. Once we've done it, we can't put the pieces back together again. And that is why we are moving the nation beyond coal. We are not just here to be in the fight for clean water and clean air and clean energy and stopping pollution. We're not just here to be in the fight against climate disruption. We are here to win that fight. And as you have heard here today, that is what we are doing. Together with over 100 partner organizations, we've stopped the rush to build 200 new coal plants. We are on our way to replacing a third of the coal plants in this country with clean energy, and now we are setting our sights even higher to replace half of U.S. coal with clean energy by 2017. The effects of this are going to be felt far beyond our borders, and actually they already are. In 2014, for the first time in history, global carbon emissions were flat as the economy grew. The U.S. reached a climate agreement with China. We are now going to lead going into the climate negotiations in Paris, where we will be very ably represented by our UN Special Envoy, Michael Bloomberg. Our work, your work, played a big, big part in making this possible. And even better, the goals that we are announcing here today will do even more. They will position us to exceed the climate targets that were announced in late March by the Obama administration. So, we are in the middle of a transformation. We are right in the middle of changing the world. And if you only take away one thing from today, I hope that it's this. This energy transformation was not made possible by Washington or Wall Street. It happened on Main Street, thanks to regular people fighting in their backyards for the safety of their families and the future of their communities. From Chicago to Indianapolis, from North Omaha, Nebraska, to Alexandria, Virginia. Those regular Americans are the real heroes. You all are the real heroes. The deciding factor that is turning the corner on climate change and clean energy. And those regular Americans are going to be the driving force behind our success in this next chapter of our partnership with Bloomberg Philanthropies. So, our strategy is working. This partnership has delivered. We are moving the needle on climate change, on public health, and on clean energy. So we are going to ramp it up, we're going to double down, and we are going to do the best work of our lives, because that is what this moment demands. We are the last generation that has the opportunity to turn the corner on climate change. And we are going to be able to look our kids in the eye and tell them that we did it. Thank you. Thank you.
Marianne, thank you, and Mike Bruin and Bruce Nillis and everyone else here in the Sierra Club who's worked so hard to take us beyond coal so successfully. I would urge you, if you want to do something else, pick up the phone this afternoon, call your congressperson or your senator or both, and say, let me tell you, I just came from a rally where we announced we closed 187 power plants. We've just raised another $50 million to go after the rest of them. Do you want to be with us or not? We need help from you. Let me tell you, my experience in and out of government is democracy really does work, but it requires the public to stand up and tell the elected officials what they want, and to make sure the elected officials understand that their careers, as well as the lives of their families, it would not be inappropriate for you to say, my next vote is going to be dependent on how you vote on my issues, particularly the environment. And incidentally, when you go home tonight, look at your family. Do you want them to live longer? Because you are voting their lives and health as well. Anyways, the Sierra Club has been an outstanding partner. We are thrilled to be with it and continue. Our foundation's looking forward to seeing what we can accomplish going forward. I want to thank the new partners who have joined us and together put in another $20 million. And there really is an awful lot at stake. People's health and the health for future generations. So keep on fighting. And as Marianne, who doesn't lack enthusiasm, but she's on the right side of God, we're going to get this done. God bless.